What's going on, guys? John Elder here from Codemy.com, and in this video, we're going to create an add venue form for our app with Django and Python. All right, guys, like I said, in this video, we're going to create this venue form for our app. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com, where I have dozens of courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off membership with all my courses, videos, and books for one-time fee at just $49, which is insanely cheap. Okay, like I said, in this video, we're going to add this add venue form to our app. Up until now, we've just been using the admin area to add venues and add events and add users. In this video, we're going to start to transition into creating this for the website. Now, we've got a lot of work to do even after this, because this form is just open to the public. Anybody can do this, and that's ultimately not what we want. We want this behind a firewall of some sort where you have to log in order to do that, and we'll get to that later. In this video, I just want to start to show you how to add forms in your Django app. And this is actually pretty easy, but there's a couple little twists that make it a little interesting, and so stick around and learn how to do this. So let's head over to our code. I'm using the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the comment section below, the pinned comment, as well as a link to the playlist with all the rest of these Django Wednesday videos. So, okay, first, let's head over here and let's open another one of these, and let's just go to our admin area here and log in if you haven't already. And we can see venues. We've got a few listed already. If we go to add a venue, this is the old way we used to do it. We could see we need a venue name, address, zip code, and then phone, website address, and email address. Now, these bottom three, as you can see, are not in bold because these aren't required. We talked about that in the previous video. These on top are bold and are required. So now we don't want to have to use this every time we want to add a venue. And potentially in the future, we want our website members and users to be able to add their own venues as well. And you don't want to give them access to your Django admin area to do that. You want them to just go to a page on your website. Like here, we see we've got a link up here. Fill out a form, click a button, and then have it add to the database. So how do we do that? Well, it's actually pretty easy. And the first thing we need to do is create a file called Forms.py. So go to our My Club website app, and then inside events, let's right click and create a new file. And let's go File, Save As. And we want to save this as Forms.py. And in this file, we're going to put pretty much all the forms that we want to use throughout our website. And then we'll just call this file and the specific form in this file whenever we want to use it. So we need a few things here. We need to, from Django, we need to import forms. Sort of makes sense. We also, from Django.forms, we need to import model form. And this is a model form because we're going to add data to our database. And our database are models. Remember our models.py file? Each of these is a model, basically. So we want to use a model form, which comes with Django and then just does all the things for us to add the stuff to the database. So it'll take the form itself, add it to the database. We don't need to know anything, special about databases in order to use this. It's really nice. So, okay, we also want to import a specific model. So let's go from .models. We want to import venue. And right now we're just going to do venue. We've got several models. If we come back to our models.py file, we say we've got venue, we've got users, we've got events. And we're going to add forms for all of these things, but in this video, we're just going to focus on venue. So we need to import venue. So, okay, that's good. So now to create a form, so let's say create a venue form, we just create a class. So it's class, and then let's name this thing. And I'm going to call it VenueForm, right? Call it anything you want, but this is a form for adding to venue. So VenueForm kind of seems to make sense to me. I'll go ahead and do that. Now this inherits model form, which is this guy up here, right? So, okay, we need a colon there because this is a class. And now inside of here, we create another class called meta. And everybody always asks me, what is meta? What does that mean? What are we doing here? And honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. This is just how it works. Meta sort of allows you to, I don't want to say define, but sort of define the things in the class for Django. This is not really a Python thing, I don't think. I think it's just a Django thing. But anyway, you always do class meta. And then inside of here, you define the stuff you want to do. So we want to work with a model. Which model? Venue, right? That's this guy up here that we imported, which is ultimately this, right? We want to be able to use all of these things. So model equals venue. And now we could go fields equals and then underscore underscore all underscore underscore, and that will work. But what if we don't want certain fields on our form? If we come back over to our models.py file and we look at this, yeah, we probably want all of these, but it's conceivable that you might not want a specific field. Well, how do we change that? Well, instead of just calling all, we could define exactly which fields. And we're going to want to do this for a couple other reasons as well. So we might as well just do it now. Well, what fields do we want? Well, let's head over here and it's these fields, right? So I'm just going to really quickly, in quotes, make a quick little list of these. So address, let's see, zip underscore code is one, phone is one, what else? Web, and finally email underscore address. So I'm just going to copy these and delete that and bring this back over here and paste this in, right? So this is a tuple. So these are in quotation marks separated by commas. That sort of makes sense. Okay, so far so good. Now there's going to be some other things we need to do here, but for right now, I think that's all we need to just get started. We'll tinker with this a little bit in a few minutes, but for now this will work. So let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so we've got a form. Now, how do we use it? How do we call it? Well, we need several new things. So let's create a new web page. Let's head over to templates and events, and let's create a new page. So right click new file, and let's go file, save as, and let's call this add underscore venue.html. And now let's open up our home.html file, and I'm just going to copy all of this, and let's just paste this into our add venue. Now, instead of saying, maybe we don't want to center this, or maybe we do, let's go ahead and center it. Let's get rid of all of this stuff. We don't really need it. And here at the front, let's just say add venue to database for now, just so we have something on this page, right? Let's go ahead and save this. Now, anytime you create a page, it's always, a three-step process with Django. You create the page itself. We just did that here. You also need a view, and you also need a URL. So let's head over to our urls.py file, and let's come down here and create a new path. And this is going to be add underscore venue. And we want to point this to views.add underscore venue. Now, we don't have this view yet, but we'll create it in just a second. And let's give this a name of add dash venue. Put our comma at the end for good measure. Okay, so that looks good. Basic path, nothing new here. Now we need to create a view. This is the third thing, a URL, the page itself, and a view. So now we need to create this add underscore venue view. So save this file, go ahead and close it. And let's head over to our views.py file. And anywhere in here, we can define add venue. We want to pass in request. Okay, so here's where things get fun. So we need to import that form that we just created. So let's go from .forms. We want to import what? Well, head back over to that forms.py file we just created. We created this VenueForm class, so we can import that. So let's come back over here and import that there. So, all right, that looks good. Now, before we get into this, let's just create the regular, well, in fact, I'm just going to come down here and copy this guy. And let's just create this page, render request, events. What do we call this? We called it add underscore venue.html. So that will go here, add underscore venue.html. We don't have a context dictionary, so we don't really want to pass anything in. We can just put that up. Okay, so strictly speaking, this is all we need to create that page. So let's save this and head back over here and hit reload. Oh, actually, we need a link still to the Navbar. So let's head over to our Navbar and just navigate down and find a link. Here's one right here. We can just sort of copy it and paste it again. And instead of events, let's say add venue. And instead of pointing it to list events, we want to point it to add dash venue, because in our urls.py file, right there, we called this thing add dash venue. So to create a link for it, we just put add dash venue. So, okay, that should work. Let's go ahead and save this, head over to the site, come back here, hit reload. Now we have an add venue link up here. If we click it, it goes to this page that says add venue to database. Okay, so we've got the structure set up. Now we need to create the actual form. How do we do that? Well, first things first, we need to put a form on this page. So we can do that fairly easily. Let's head back over here and let's go to our add underscore venue.html file. And I'm going to put a couple of line breaks here just to push this down the screen a little bit. So we need a form, and that form needs an action. Now we're just going to post this to itself, so the action could be nothing. And it also needs a method. All forms need methods, and that's going to be post. Now we also need to close that form tag. Now every form needs a CSRF token. It's a security token. It's a cross-site request forgery token, CSRF. And that just makes it really hard for hackers to hijack your form. It's just standard procedure for all form things. And to do that in Django, you just go CSRF_token, just like that. Okay, so we also need a button. So that's going to be an input type equals submit, and then value equals, let's say submit. And let's give this a class of btn/success. That's a Bootstrap button. So if we save this and refresh real quick, we can see we get this. Oh, success. That's not what we want. Green. We want secondary. So secondary. And looks like I didn't close this tag. So go ahead and close that. All right, now we refresh this guy. We see it says submit and it's gray. I just got that from Bootstrap. It's a Bootstrap button. I don't know if we've talked about that, but if you go to Get Bootstrap, click on your docs, click on your components, go down to buttons. You can see a list of the buttons. To use them, you just give a class of btn and then btn/whatever. So secondary is gray, success is green, danger is red, and on and on. So, okay, that's the button. Now, how do we get the actual form itself to appear on our screen? Well, we just come up here, and underneath this, we create this little tag here, and we go form.as_p. Now, this isn't going to work yet because we haven't passed in form, but if we save this and come back, we'll see it doesn't work yet. Yeah, so we now need to pass that form into a context dictionary through our Views.py file. So if we head back over here to our Views.py file, and right in here, we can pass form and form, but we haven't defined that yet. So we need to actually define that. So let's set form equal to this guy right here. Okay, so if we save this, now if we come back over here and reload, boom, we get this form. And this is not looking great. We haven't bootstrapified this at all yet, but it is up. Now, it doesn't quite do anything yet, but at least it's on the screen. So, all right, let's actually build out the functionality for this thing. And it's actually pretty easy. So what I'm going to do is come up here and just roll with me here for a second. I want to create a variable called submitted. And I'm going to set that equal to false. So whenever the page loads, we want to sort of determine, hey, did somebody just click a form and submit it? Or are they coming to this page for the first time? If they did, then we want to flash up a different message that says, hey, you just submitted your form. It was submitted successfully. Good job. Otherwise, we just want to render this page, right? So to do that, to create that logic, I'm going to create a variable called submitted. And the first time around, it's going to be false, because if somebody just comes to the page, they won't have submitted the form. They're just coming to the page. So submitted will be false. So now we can do some logic here. So if request.method equals post, and this is an if statement. So the request method, here's our request, and the method, this is referencing, let's head back over here, our form action method. We post a form, right? Whenever you click a submit button to post a form, you're posting the form. The method is post. If you're just going to a web page, the method is get. You're getting a web page. So there's a designation between get and post. Post is for posting forms. Get is for getting websites. So we're going to use that to do some logic here to determine whether or not somebody has actually submitted the form yet. So let's head back over to our Views.py file. If request method equals post, then what? Well, then let's set this form to VenueForm, and we want to pass in whatever the request.post was. So we're saying, hey, if they filled out the form and clicked the button, they posted it. If they did, then take whatever they posted, request.post, and pass it into our VenueForm. Right? Makes sense? Piece of cake. So then we need to do some other work on this. So did the stuff they type in, was that valid stuff? You know, some of these fields, we have some validation, like these three have to be filled out. This is an email address. If it's not, you know, there's some validation there. So we need to figure out if this thing is valid or not. So we go if form.is_valid. Really hard, right? What do we want to do? Well, if the form is valid, if they filled it out correctly, they've got all the fields in there correctly, what do we want to do? Well, we want to save it to the database. So how do we do that? Form.save. That's it, right? Well, if they've then posted to the database and it's saved it to the database, what do we want to do then? Well, we want to return something. What do we want to return? Well, we need to come up here and import something else. So from right here or anywhere up here, let's go from Django.http. We want to import HttpResponseRedirect. Now let's check out the capitalization. This is capital H, capital R, capital R. So HTTP response redirect. Now there's several different ways you can do this, and I've done it several different ways in other videos. We've done lazy redirect and things like that. In this video, I'm going to show you using HTTP response redirect, and this will just allow us to redirect back to the page itself, right? So we're submitting the form, it's submitting to itself, we're saving the data to the database, and then redirecting it back to itself, redirecting the user back to itself. So we want to return, come down here, HTTP response redirect. And then where do we want to point this? Well, we want to point it to, let's go add_venue. But we want to sort of tag something along for the ride. What? A variable. Submit it. And we want to set that equal to true. Right? So remember up here, we created this variable submitted. And by default, it's false because by default, you're just going to the web page. You're not submitting it. But after you submit the form, right, submitted will be true. And then we'll pass that true into the page, sort of like using a context dictionary, but it's kind of a cheating way to do it. And it's just a little easier. So we're going to do it that way. And it's just a fun way to do it. So, okay, so far so good. We've got the first if statement done. If the request was a post, what if they didn't fill out the form? Right? So this is if they fill out the form. What happens if they didn't fill out the form? They just came to the web page. Well, they're getting that web page. So we need to sort of designate what happens then. Well, we can bring this over. So we still want the form to be the VenueForm. And now we need to check and see whether the form was submitted or not, right? So let's go inside of here. Let's go if submitted in request.get, right? So when this thing redirects, it's sending this submitted variable into the get request, right? So if it did that, well, it will be in the get request. And if it is in the get request, that means that the user submitted the form. Well, if they did that, we need to do something. We need to set submitted equals to true, right? So then down here, we can render our request and we can pass in our form. And we also now want to pass in submitted. So submitted and then colon submitted, right? So this will pass in either that true or that false, right? So if none of this happened, submitted is going to be false. And then down here, it will get passed in as false. If on the other hand, the form was submitted right here, right? Then this will be true and this will be turned to true. And then submitted will be passed through here as true. Okay, so that was a little convoluted, but now we can head over to our add_venue.html page and we can do some stuff based on whether or not it was submitted, right? So now we can access that submitted variable. So let's come up here to our add_venue h1 tag, and underneath here, let's do a little logic. Let's go if submitted, which means if submitted is true, right? And then we also want an else statement, and we also want to end if. I like to put these on the screen as soon as we create our if statement so I don't forget to put the end if, right? So what happens if submitted is true? That's what this is asking here. What do we want to happen? Well, let's say put a message on the screen that says your venue was submitted successfully. Woohoo, right? Else, if submitted wasn't true, it'll be false. Well, if submitted was false, then we want to do all of this stuff. So let me just grab this and bring it down here, right? So maybe we can tab this in. We don't really have to, but might as well. Okay, so, I think that looks good. So if the form was submitted, then we'll put a little message on the screen that says, hey, it was submitted successfully. Otherwise, put the form itself. So we can head back over here and let's reload this. Now we see this form. And let's head back over here and go to our venues. And you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try and add one. So venue name, tester, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 4, tester, street, zip code 89129, contact 1111, 222, 3333, website address, http://tester.com, email address test@test.com. All right, moment of truth. We almost certainly screwed something up in all that. So submit. Your venue was submitted successfully. All right, so it looks like it worked, but did it actually add our venue to the database? Let's head back over here and see. Come back to the Django admin area, hit reload, and sure enough, there is tester 134 Tester Street. It looks like everything was submitted successfully and we're good to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and delete this because we don't really want that anyway, but the form worked. So, all right, so far so good. Now if we go back to that page, I just click this link, the form still appears. But if we submit, the form doesn't appear. So, okay, let's go ahead and click this. Uh-oh, our validation kicks in. We see these 3 are required. So that's looking good. So, okay, so far so good. How are we doing on time? Oh, long video, but we still need to bootstrapify this because these look horrible. So how do we do that? Well, let's head back over here to our Forms.py and you can see we designated all of these things. So what we can do is come down here and create a widgets dictionary. So let's do that. And now inside of here, we can add some style and stuff. So what we need to do is designate each field that we want to play with. So name, address, zip code, phone, web, and finally email address. Now this is a dictionary, key value pairs. These are the keys. For the values, we need to go forms.text input, because that's what the form is, a text input field, form field, right? And then inside of here, we need to create adders. And this is just a object-oriented type thing. And then inside of here, create another dictionary and just pass in class. And then form-control. Now, form control is a Bootstrap thing. If we head back over to Bootstrap really quickly, go to Get Bootstrap, click on Docs, click on Forms, and then Overview, you can see to create Bootstrap forms, we have to give everything a class of form control, right? So that's what makes them bootstrappy. So we can pass that class, that form control class, into our form like this, right? So for each of these, I'm just gonna copy this. And we also need a comma at the end of each one. Okay, so let's copy this and let's just paste, 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 and paste. Now this is an email address, so instead of text input, I think we can use email input. But otherwise, these will all work. So let's go ahead and save this, head back over to our website and hit reload. And now, boom, we get these nice Bootstrap forms. But okay, this still isn't looking great. We've got these annoying labels. And maybe you want the labels there, maybe you don't, but they're kind of stuck up there and we could style them with CSS. I don't really want to do that. I just kind of want to get rid of them. How can we do that? Well, super easy. Head back over here and we can create a labels field. So let's just go labels and set that equal. And again, this is a dictionary. So inside of here, we can just, let me just copy all of these so we don't have to type it a second time. We can just paste in all of these guys. And instead of, for instance, all of this, we can just delete and put quotation marks. So let me just come through here, delete quotation marks, and then we'll look at these. So delete quotation marks. It's getting away from me. Here we go. Delete quotation marks. 2 more. Hang in there. A long video today. It's Django Wednesday. Best time of the week. Okay. Oh, we got it. Parentheses. Okay, so what we've done here is we're creating a labels dictionary and we're saying for each one of these, name, address, zip code, etc., set the label to nothing. So now if we save this and come back and hit reload, boom, all those labels are gone. We could change the label. So for instance, name, we could say enter your venue here. Right? If we save this, head back over here and hit reload, now it says enter your venue here. So that's a great way to customize these labels with whatever you want. I particularly don't want any labels there. So I want to get rid of that. But the problem is now, save this, come back over here and hit reload. How do we know what any of these things are? Well, I'm going to use placeholder text. With Bootstrap, it's easy to use placeholder text. Let's see, placeholder right there. And this is placeholder text. You see, it says the text in the field, right? So to use that, super easy. We just come back over here to our widgets down here. And inside of here, this is a dictionary. So we can have more than one item in our dictionary. And we can pass in a second thing. So we want to pass in placeholder. And that's a dictionary. And what does it want to be? Well, let's just copy and paste all these real quick. Boom, 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 boom. So this one's going to be venue name. Let's see, then we have address and zip code. So this is going to be address. This next one is going to be zip code. I know this is exciting. All right, phone, web, email address. So phone, web address, and then email. So go ahead and save this. Now we head back over here, hit reload, boom. Those things are in each field. That looks, to me, much better. As soon as we start typing, tester venue, the placeholder text disappears. So 111, tester avenue, zip code 90210, phone 111-222-3333, web address http://www.testerino.com and test@test.com. You go ahead and submit this guy. Boom, your venue was submitted successfully. We can come back over here, hit reload. We see, sure enough, tester venue with testerino.com has been added to the database. We get nicely redirected back to this page with a little message that we can, do whatever you want there, make it look however you want, and everything's cool. We come back here again, click this link, boom, we can come back here and add another venue. So that's how to create a web form that ties into your model using Django. Very easy, a little bit convoluted here and there. Some of the Views.py code might have been a little confusing, but once you do it a couple of times, it'll make a lot of sense, and it's really straightforward and easy and pretty cool. We've also learned how to style them any way we want using Bootstrap, and it's pretty fun. So that's all for this video. If you'd like to, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships. They pay just $49 to access all my courses, over 47 courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 100,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.